Welcome to the part 2 of the India Gate modeling series. In the previous videos, we have modeled this basic shape of the India Gate, and now in this video, we are going to make a detailed model of the India Gate. So without wasting much time, let's start the video. So here I am selecting the model and going into the edit mode. We are going to select the following loops like this. You can definitely deselect the unnecessary things that are selected while selecting these loops. So you can see it is selected on both the side of the model. And now we can simply exclude this model. If you haven't watched the part 1 of this series, you can definitely watch it. The links are provided on your screens. From the reference you can see that the bottom part of the India Gate is slightly bent and then it is projected towards the ground. So that's why we are adding these loops. And now we can simply drag this selected vertices and we can match them with the reference. Similarly, we have to do that same thing over the next side. So here you can see we have that bent part. So this is also done on both the sides. Now one more time we need to extrude that particular portion. At this point what we can do is we can add a loop cuts and net them with the extruded line from the reference. And now we can simply select these faces and we can easily extrude them. Now we can model this remaining details. Again that same process of adding the loop cuts around the edges of that rectangular portion, and then you can simply select those faces and extrude them along the y direction. Similarly, we can model this lower rectangular portion, and since it is very similar to that process, we can fast forward this video. Now we are required to model this thin extruded line. So for that I am selecting the model and going to the edit mode, and we can add a couple of loop cuts and match them with the reference. Now just face select these loop cuts that we have recently added, and we need to scale them after extruding them. So here you can see it is not working properly. So what we can do is we can go over this extrude region and we can select extrude along normal, and now we can scale this. So here you can see it is modeled properly. Similarly, we also have to model that another loop at the bottom of this loop. So we can simply add the couple of loop cuts and then we can follow the same process. Similarly, we can also add the following loop cuts. So since these processes are very similar to adding the loop cuts and extruding and scaling them, so I am fast forwarding this particular process. Okay, so here we have just added the loop cuts and we are finishing this particular portion of adding the loop cuts, and now the things which are remaining is, just a minute, we can add this particular square extruded region. So for that what we can do is we can go to the edit mode and under the face selection insert a face. Now we need to extrude the face one more time. And move it along the x-axis. So here we can see we have added the square. And for a good topology, or for the good result, we can insert one more square and scale it downward just a little bit. Now here you can see at the bottom there is one more loop cut. So what we can do is we can follow the similar process of adding the loop cuts and then scaling them and extruding. So now we can select this particular face look right over here and we can extrude it and scale it. So here you can see this is looking perfect and good. Now the thing that is remaining is to add the circle over that region which is seen in the reference. So what we can do is, now since in our model you can see that particular rectangular part is very larger as compared to the reference, so we need to adjust that particular portion. So here you can select the following vertices like this. Also select this one particular vertices and move them along the z-axis just like this, so that there is a proper space for the making the particular circle. So what we can do is we can move that following vertices a bit more downward, so there is a proper space for the circle. So now what we can do is, selecting this faces, we can insert a face, and where is the dissolve face option? Or else you can press W and press dissolve face. Now what we can do is going to the loop tools and making a circle. So here this circle is being extruded along the y-axis, and you can also extrude it one more time and scale it, and one more, inserting a circle, and you can extrude it along the y-axis. So we have almost completed this circular part, and that's a very good thing. Now we can model this particular portion of that circular portion, and in between there is the name written of India. So how we can model this thing? So just add the loop cuts around the edges. Don't worry if it doesn't matches with the reference on one side. Just keep on adding the loop cuts. So we have added 2 vertical loop cuts and 1 horizontal loop cuts. So now we can select this following faces, and what we can do is extrude them along the y-axis. One more extrusion along the y-axis, and we can scale it just a slight down, that there is a proper rectangular portion. And now we can manually adjust the following, the faces, and we can move them along the z-axis to get that particular shape of the portion. So here I am selecting this faces and I am moving them along the z-axis so that it gets a proper shape. And for making the circle now, what we can do is selecting this faces. I think we should add a couple of more edge loops, the vertical edge loops. You can always add the edge loops by pressing Ctrl R, and here we are selecting these faces, and what we can do is, first of all, we need to dissolve the faces to make a single face. And now what we can do is selecting, first of all, let's adjust this particular vertices. And now we can insert a face. scaling it downward and going to the loop tools and making a circle. Since this circle is very long, but I think we have made the mistake. We need to first of all subdivide the face, and then we can then make the circle using the loop tools. After adding the circle, you can scale it downward so that it doesn't look imperfect. And now we can obviously extrude this circular portion along the y-axis. So here you can see that particular portion is made on both the side of the India Gate. And we will do that text part at the later stage. First of all, let's make this tiny design of the India Gate. So what we can do is going to the edit mode, and for making that particular portion we need to select the faces, the alternate faces, that is that particular. You need to leave one face and selecting the next face. That is the process. So before that, we can add a couple of loop cuts right over here, since this area is lacking some of the loop cuts, and also this area is not having large amount of loop cuts. So now what we can do is selecting the faces adjacent, or leave one face and select the next face. Don't select those tiny faces. If those tiny faces are there, then you can obviously merge those faces by using the distort face option, and then select the faces. We can randomly select those faces since no one is going to look there. Okay, so we have selected those faces, and now again we need to look at the reference. So first of all, I have inserted the face, and we can subdivide these faces and make a circle using the loop tool. And now move these faces along the z-axis in the upward direction. And now select this faces right over there. So now what we can do is extrude these faces along the normals. So here I am assigning those selected faces with our text group. So here you can see the faces have been assigned with our text group. Since it would be easier for us to select those faces again at the later stage, now I have deselected the faces from the side view, and we are excluding the front view faces. So here you can see those faces have been excluded, And now also extrude it one more time and scale those downward. Now again select those faces. And again extrude them along the x-axis. Just a little bit. Oh, nice. Now you can see we have created that design area, and now we can proceed on to the text portion. So for that we can simply add the text right over here, and we can go to the edit mode and type INDIA with a caps lock. And you can obviously change those horizontal and vertical alignment of the text. Now we can convert those text to the mesh, and now selecting each of these vertices into the edit mode, you can extrude them along the z-axis so that they become thick in the proportion. And now into the object mode, rotate this text with a 90-degree angle, and we can place those text at its proper desired position right over here, and we can scale this downward. Okay, move it along the y-axis. So here you can see the text have been added. Now selecting those front faces, scale them downward so that you can properly see those text from the front view also. Now what to do is selecting the main object and applying the mirror modifier. And now what we can do is select the text and shift select the main object and press Ctrl J, so that here you can see the text have been joined with the main object. And now into the edit mode, you can select this text, shift D to duplicate and move it along the y-axis onto the back side of the India gate. Right over here, you can see the text have been moved on the back side. And now place it properly at its proper position. And what we can do is, where is that? Yes, right over here, mirror and X global. So here on the back side it will be opposite to that of the front view. So here you can see it is properly been placed right over here. So right then we have finished the modeling of the India gate, and I am ending this particular video, and in the next video we are going to texture this model. So till then, have a nice day.